under the term research methods, not research methodology, but research methods. Why? Because research methods are specific to deal with way of conducting research, everybody, to minimize the ambiguity of use of research methodology, but it must be written in the form of research methods. In research methods, okay, there are some issues that you have to write down, as mentioned earlier, types of study. The types of study, you clarify, you strengthen that this study is categorized as action research, classroom action research, for example. Or this study is categorized as quantitative research, qualitative research, or mixed types of research, quantitative and qualitative research. This study is case study, is categorized as case study on the grounds that blah, 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 blah. This study is categorized as qualitative, quantitative, mixed types of research, qualitative and quantitative research, and then classroom action research, and then case study and the like. So it depends on the types of your research. Then you come, if you select classroom action research, then, or R&D, etc., it depends on the types of the research, everybody. If you are interested in conducting research under the issue of classroom action research, then you have what we call the setting of the research. The setting can be in the form of place and time when you conduct the research, and then whether you conduct research at junior school levels or senior school levels, in Jakarta, in Bandung, etc. How many schools are involved in your research, but you should have academic reasons why you are interested in selecting the schools or the targeted schools, everybody. Then you have subject of the research, teachers, English teachers, and then students and others. Data collection and instruments. You may start with instruments first, that's okay. Then data collection. The instruments are in the form of questionnaire, for example, in the form of interview guide, okay, in the form of observation guide. Then the techniques, if you select interview guide, then the techniques must be in the form of interview. When you have an instrument for observation guide, then the technique must be in the form of observation. So observation, interview serve as the techniques, while interview guideline is categorized or is called instrument. So this is the instrument and data collection. Then you have data analysis. The instrument can be in the form of test or non. Okay, it depends on the selection that you have. And then we have in-depth, when you select interview, you can choose whether you are interested in using or making use of in-depth interview, structured interview, or semi-structured interview, in-depth interview, or free interview, etc. Okay, participatory observation, non-participatory, participatory observations, etc. Okay, or structured interview and semi-structured interview or unstructured interview, or you may have in-depth interview. So each should be rationalized why you select a technique of data collection in the form of structured interview or semi-structured interview or unstructured interview, or in-depth interview. So you should give reasons why. Then data analysis techniques. Remember that classroom action research is qualitative research in nature. That is why you have to use what we call qualitative analytical technique or quantitative and qualitative analytical technique. Quantitative here, you make use of data in the form of numbers, in the form of scores, etc. While qualitative analytical technique is in the form of, word, verbal language, etc. Therefore, you should highlight that when you do classroom action research, you know the nature of classroom action research and the steps of how to conduct action research, classroom action research, whether you use 2 cycles or 3 cycles, etc. Okay, and then reliability, validity of your data. Okay, reliability and validity of your instrument should be highlighted. Okay, whether you are interested in making use of outcome validity, democratic validity, involving some parties to decide to triangulate the data, outcome validity, it relates the idea of actions leading to outcomes that are successful within the research context. And then you may have a process validity, which is concerned with the dependability and competency of the research. Okay, and then you may have what we call dialogic validity, involving the dialogues across the parties involved in the action research, classroom action research, everybody. Okay, so it depends on what types of validity that you choose, or whether you use all of the types of validity. Okay, and then you have a content validity, etc. Following the chapter 3, later on, you present research result or findings and discussions, everybody. Remember that the proposal, in some extent, you should use present future. But after you conduct research and report the of your research, the process of your study, you change from present future to past tense, particularly in chapter 3. Okay, in chapter 3. So you don't need to have will. You do not transform from will to would, but it must be in the form of past tense. In terms of use of present tense, I mean the tenses, everybody. So the end of, on the product of your subject, this is proposal writing, to hope that you could produce the proposals. Then for the second term, you present the draft of your proposals by making PPT, and then you present the PPT for chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, as well as the instrument. Following that one, you may start data collection. Okay, data collection. Simultaneously, you have what we call seminar on proposal, thesis proposal for next semester, everybody, for next semester. So it's clear enough for you, everybody, to do with chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Do you have any questions so far, everybody?
Can I have a question, Pak?
Yes, please.
Related to the setting. Actually, I have got a title for my thesis. It is integrating intercultural values into English materials for junior high school. It is different from what I propose, but it's okay. But my question is, Actually, now I'm a teacher in the junior high school, and I'm the only English teacher in that school. Is it possible for me to conduct the research in that school, or I have to choose another school to conduct the research so that there is a teacher and there is a researcher? Thank you, Pak.
Well, it will be better if you find out the other schools to be the locus of your research. Okay. To minimize the subjectivity, I mean the objectivity of the research, to minimize the subjectivity of your research, because the nature of the research should be objective in nature. If you make use of your schools, you may ask other English teachers as the subject of your study. You get my point? You get my point, Mas?
Yes, Pak.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's better for you to minimize the subjectivity of your research. You should give reasons why you choose or you select your school. If you think that there is no English teacher in that school, I mean, at your school, you may ask your friend to teach, to make use of particular approach or strategy or techniques to improve students' ability or students' competence in using English. Is it okay, Mas Yudo?
Yes, Pak. Thank you, Pak.
Yeah. Anything else, everybody? Masih ada yang lain? Honestly, is it clear for you what you are going to do? Have you got the outline, everybody? Next week, you should be ready to present the outline of your research first, your research proposal. That consists of 3 issues. The first is chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. What you write in chapter 1 for background of your study, just very simple. I mean, you just write down the points, and then chapter 2, you write down the points of theoretical review, relevant studies, review of related studies or previous studies, conceptual framework, and the like. And in chapter 3, as mentioned earlier, it depends on the types of your study. If you are interested in conducting research under the issue of quantitative research, experimental research, or correlational research, then you can adjust the sections of the research. I mean, chapter 3. Okay. It depends on, again, it depends on the types of your research. Next week, what you are going to do, first, you make an outline with regard to the 3 issues with the use of PPT, of course. Then I will ask you 2 or 3 people to present as the samples of the presentation randomly. After that, I will pick you out into, we have 20, probably you can do 3 groups or 4 groups. Then those who haven't presented the outline of your research proposal for your thesis, you present in a small group. Is it clear, everybody? Then the next week, 2 upcoming weeks, you develop chapter 1, starting from background of your study, problem identification, identification of problem, etc. Okay, to have chapter 1. Then we pursue to chapter 2, and then we continue to chapter 3. For the next session, I mean the second term, you should be ready to present the PPT of your research proposal for your thesis. Okay, everybody, is it clear enough for you? Now, the rest of the time, you can do Utagoji by making an outline, or if you have got outline, then you can pursue chapter 1. Okay, to accelerate the way of writing proposal. Is it clear, everybody? Do you have any questions so far? Do you have any questions so far? No? Okay, I think that's all for today's discussion. Again, the rest of time, I ask you to make an outline at home while enjoying coffee or tea or others, everybody. And next week, every student should be ready to present the outline. Okay, starting from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 as mentioned, depending on the nature and the types of your study. Please be free to get in touch with me if you have any problems concerned with composing or doing your research proposal for your thesis. Okay, take for example, you are still confused of deciding the title. Okay, the problems that you have. So I will facilitate you to deal with or to focus on your problems that you have. Don't forget, everybody, to read the relevant articles. Again, relevant articles, as mentioned earlier, probably you need to review at least 16 articles or 20 articles. That's up to you, but at least you should have 10 or 12 articles which are relevant to your problems. So please find out articles as published notable journals, international journals, or any other resources, learning resources in the form of books, ebook, and other resources, everybody, to strengthen your writing for your proposal. Is it clear, everybody? Yes? Okay, if you have no questions so far, let us end our lecture by saying a prayer, shall we? Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, good afternoon,
Thank you,
everybody.
sir.